I am out of touch with society, like genuinely. And on top of that, I also live in a bubble. And basically, why I feel this way is because I hardly ever interact with the outside world. Now, of course, you can say, hey, don't you work at a coffee shop? You have to talk to other people. Yeah, and maybe I'll take a customer's order, whatever, I'll give them their shit, but I don't really know what's going on. I don't know what they're talking about. What is the latest thing? What is the drama? And honestly, I don't really care because I'm just so busy with my own life. And I know a lot of us can say, something very similar because especially guys who are, you know, either lonely or just don't interact much or associate with the outside world. And because it's just too much noise. I personally learned to limit that noise because I'm just so caught up doing my thing. I go to work, I earn my money, I watch my health, I work out, and I make some videos, right? It's so simple, and I prioritize that. I have to do these things every day just to feel sane. Because if I don't do these things one of the days, I actually start losing my shit. So I need to do it. It's almost like something that's constantly poking you, like you haven't done your daily stuff. And whenever you start doing that, you just kind of escape society. You don't really know what's out there. Doesn't really matter. And why I say I live in a bubble, because that kind of actually ends up creating a whole bubble around you, because my world is my bubble. And a lot of us live in bubbles, and some bubbles are more permeable than others. Sometimes it's easier to pop or to enter. For me, in other words, a bubble is just having standards, right? People in my life that are actually in my world or part of my bubble or interacts with other people's bubbles, whatever you want to put it. What I'm trying to say is that people know what I will tolerate and what I will not tolerate. I learned how to say no and when to say yes. I used to be this person that I just didn't know how to say no. If people asked me to do something and I really didn't want to, I'd just be like, oh yeah, sure. And then after I'm just like, oh shit, why did I say yes to that? That's so inconvenient. Now I run a completely different circuit to get to the answer of a yes or a no. And honestly, I don't even feel bad to say no. I used to feel bad saying no to someone, like, oh shit, yeah, no, I can't. No, I can't. It's not me. It's not me. I do not want to do this, and that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If I'm being invited to hang out, but today I haven't done what I was going to do, maybe I planned to record 3 videos, or maybe I planned to, I don't know, post a reel, Instagram reel, whatever. And I haven't done that. I cannot accept to go out because I just feel bad. Or that's just me though, right? I just feel like I haven't earned it yet, today at least. And yeah, and so I can say no to that, and that's okay. I don't feel like I'm missing out. That's fine. There's always a next time. And it is what it is. And whenever I say yes, it's because I genuinely have time for something, or I think this is a good idea, and I'll say yes. And this whole thing makes a bubble. Also, the way people treat you, how you allow yourself to be treated, how other people treat you. Why is it that one individual, let's say there's one person, but they can treat every other person differently? For example, let's say there's that toxic individual. We all know a toxic person in our lives, or in some kind of proximity. Well, the way they're going to treat you might not be the way they treat their other friend. And that just falls back on, well, how permeable is your bubble? Do they just penetrate it? Do they just get in your head? Can they just disrespect you and get away with it and you let it slide? Or are you going to be like, hey, you know what? Or at least this is what I'd do. Like, hey, if a person is toxic or whatever you want to qualify them as, it's like, okay, well, I just don't accept that, and maybe next time I will just never see them again, or I will limit my exposure to them, or if you do want to, be acquainted with me, you will have to make up for it, or apologize, or whatever it is that they have done, and especially to you. And very quickly, people can feel that about you, and they will know how to treat you. So that same toxic person may treat another person super kindly, even if they're a shitty person on the inside, but somebody else, they're gonna, let it run, if you know what I mean. So that creates a whole bubble. And honestly, I don't mind living in that bubble because I think we all live in a bubble. And if you don't have a strong frame or a strong bubble, as you say, that you can't just penetrate so easily, well then that's how you become a doormat. That's how you end up working for others. And I'm not even talking in the work sense, like working for your boss, which it also falls into that, but it ends up being, this is how you become a doormat, right? And this is how you end up doing other people's bidding. Whether you're at work and your coworker, who is the same position as you, manages to always boss you around. Your girlfriend, your boyfriend always manages to boss you around, right? Hey, like you do this for me, you do that for me. Your parents, right? I've met a person who, I've asked them, why don't you do anything, that you want to do? This person's like, I want to work out, I want to go out, I want to have fun in life. And I'm like, okay, why don't you? Well, my sister is, I babysit her kid. Okay, your sister has a life. What does your sister do? Oh, she got Pilates, she's busy, she's got this lessons, she's got those lessons. Her and her husband went on a honeymoon, then they went to a vacation, then she has job, she has work. I'm like, so you're the babysitter? You don't get paid for it though. Like, what do you mean? No, it's just family. Okay, I get family help each other. But it's not your job. That's her kid. That is her kid. Why are you just giving your life away for that? What if you had a kid? You want to put your life in. You can't even build your life because you're too busy helping your sister build your life. That's just an example. But this is how you essentially have a very, very shitty bubble, right? And another thing, at least for me, there's only, in a bubble, there are certain things, certain rules that just kind of make sense, just things to live by. It's kind of like the laws of physics, right? Things that make sense and things that don't. For example, and I don't want to sound like those weird, preachy people, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. In my bubble, to me at least, there's no such thing as being too lazy to do something. And once again, that's just me. I've always believed that if I need to do something, I will do it regardless if I'm too lazy or I'm tired. I don't care. I don't believe in that. And despite the fact, that's the standard I hold myself to. And that means do I procrastinate sometimes? Absolutely. Is it hard to do so? Hard to do certain things? Absolutely. Do I not get things done sometimes? Yes. But ultimately I'll get it done because I have to do it. And that's the boring part. The interesting thing is what happens when people in your bubble don't reflect that. Well, you just start to associate less with those people. And those that want to associate with you, well, people around me, I never hear these kind of things. I never hear from people genuinely in my life, yeah, bro, I was too lazy, so I didn't do this. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, none of us talk like that. That's kind of how you create a circle of people that you relate to. But here's the interesting thing. The other day, I don't know how explicit I want this to be, but whatever. This girl, friend, whatever I want to say, her sister, who is not in my bubble and not part of my world necessarily, she was complaining the fact that, hey, yeah, can you believe it? My sister, she ate and she cooked, but she didn't clean up after herself. And now I'm there and either I clean it or I have to deal with all this shit in the kitchen. And I asked her, why didn't she do it? And she said she's too lazy. And when I hear a comment like that, it's funny because it's like my brain just kind of glitches. It just goes like, the gear starts spinning and they kind of lock and my brain almost catches fire because it's just, I'm like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. But you cooked, you got to clean after yourself and then you put it away and then you can rest. Okay, maybe you rested and then you clean, but you can't just leave it there for the whole week. Some things that just don't make sense. You're just like, what? Right? And I don't even try to understand that. I'm just like, whatever. It doesn't even enter my bubble. It can't because it's just not part of my world. And this could be anything. Whether it's stupid, whether it's hard ass, it doesn't matter how you want to be about it. Like in my head, are you going to be too lazy to wipe your own ass then? Like, that's how stupid it sounds. Maybe in your world, whatever you believe in, you have your own values, ethics that you abide by, that if a person does the opposite, that, let's say, a person who does the opposite, you're just like, I I can't even comprehend the level of this doesn't make any sense. It's like saying 1 plus 1 equals 3, you know? And that's what I mean by I'm surrounded in a bubble. And I don't think it's a bad thing. And honestly, I don't know if it's a good thing, but so far it has been serving me well. And I wish to continue on this with this. Thanks for watching.